So, good evening to everybody. Welcome to all the participants who are here. So, I congratulate and wish all success for the organizers who are organizing such kind of an event, and also wish that in future you keep organizing this kind of an event. This is definitely intellectually enriching experience for the participant as well as the speakers, for everybody. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So today we are talking about, we have given a topic of curbing transnational crime and its loopholes. So this is really a very interesting topic, but only issue here is this is a very voluminous and vast topic, and capturing the essence of the topic in half an hour, 45 minutes, or even 2 hours also very difficult, because this touches upon a lot of areas, especially the international crime. If you look into the international crime scenario, am I audible? Am I audible? Yes.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay. So please just mute yourself. All the participant is requested. You are requested to mute it so that you can hear. So there will be less disruption. So curbing transnational crime is a huge challenges throughout the globe, especially when you are talking about, because the crime today is not confined to one state or nation. It has gone beyond the national territories, national geographical territory. So over the last few decades, we have seen the, especially after the globalization, even the crime has also been globalized. The criminals are no more just they no more belong to a particular nation. Most of the criminals, they operate from different parts of the world. So there is also a globalization of crime. I would say globalization of crime. So crime has also been globalized, especially in the aftermath of the globalization. So this issue has become very important. The global impact of the transnational crime has risen to an unprecedented level. The criminal groups have appropriated new technology, adopted horizontal network structure, your communication national the structure that are difficult to trace and stop. You see, so many devices are available today, so that the criminals can communicate uh, among themselves, so that they operate transnationally. And there are your diversified methodologies for operating the crime. So it is no more, I mean, confined to a particular one crime. There are several. The nature of crimes are also very, very diversified. A criminal considers the world as its own field. The world is its own operation. He commits a crime in one country, earn money, deposit in another country, then when the money, oh, okay, sorry. Okay, now actually, so The widespread political, economic, social, and technological changes that has taken place throughout the world, and the procedures and policies, there is mutual assistance among the criminal, and also the mutual assistance among the countries to nab the criminals, and technological assistance among the countries are also increasing day by day in the international uh, forum. There are a lot of your international conventions are have been organized to curb these kind of uh, increasing your crime in the world. So the international criminal organizations are also taking full advantage of the globalization of the global market. They are also taking advantage of the trade barriers at the international level. So the another important factor, the liberalized immigration regime. In many countries, so far as immigration is concerned, they are very liberal. So that liberalization in immigration regime has also a great role to play in increasing the criminal activities. So this is one aspect. Then the world market has become the effectiveness of world market has uh, become very uh, uh, significant because of the your market driven forces. The international the international economic development have taken place, and in the same pace the criminal activities have also gone off. So they engage in various felonious activities, trafficking, corruption, money laundering, you have trafficking of women and children, violence, extortion, then illicit manufacturing of your firearms, your narcotic substances, credit card fraud, environmental crime, computer related crime, illegal trafficking of stolen vehicle, industrial espionage, sabotage, maritime piracy, so many activities. These are, I mean, to name a few. These are various kinds of criminal activities that is taking place in the globe. For many regions, global transnational crimes presents the nation with a unique and particularly challenging task. For every country, curbing such kind of activities is really a challenging task because it is beyond your control. When the crime just surpasses your geographical boundary, it becomes very difficult on your part to nab the culprit because there your law doesn't operate. Another legal regime is there. You don't have any reach to that regime. So in that context, the international cooperation is required. Therefore, among the countries, they have under the aegis of UN and some other bodies, there have been a lot of treaties and conventions. And with the help of those treaties and conventions, we try to curb the crime. So this is one aspect. So, but nevertheless, though you have treaties and conventions, still curbing the international crime is slightly a challenging task for any country, not for India. It for any country, it is very difficult. If a person commit the crime in India and goes and stays somewhere in London, for example, you take the example of Vijay Mallya. He committed crime in India. He settled in UK. Now Indian law is not able to reach him, though he is a criminal here for Indian court, for Indian jurisdiction he is the criminal, but he is taking shelter at United Kingdom. So how to repatriate him to India is a biggest challenge for the country. So this is an example. Like Abu Salam, you might have heard the name Abu Salam. He committed crime in India. He went and stayed somewhere in Portugal. So Portuguese court the Portuguese government, they have to cooperate to repatriate that man. Otherwise, and you know, it was very difficult. It was a challenging task for the government of India to bring him to back to the country. So for any country, getting a criminal to its own territory and just bring him into the judicial system becomes a very challenging task. So what kind of crimes you have generally? Smuggling is one of the biggest economic economic offense. So a lot of you see earlier nowadays, before the liberalization regime, golds were being smuggled from one country to another. Even today also it is there, but it has been reduced. So at that time, small smuggling of gold and other very ornaments and other some precious stones, these are very common. So here the nature and quantity of smuggled items are also vary. So that is also the smuggling is also part of our how to curb the smuggling also become part of our fiscal policy in the country. So whenever we are just trying to frame our fiscal policy, we take care of this aspect also. Even in our budget, we have to take care of this aspect. So India is prone to extensive smuggling of contraband articles also. You have ganja, afim, chara, so many items. That is also another challenging areas for the country. So the contraband are smuggled to the bordering nations like Nepal, Bhutan, Pakistan, like that. So this is also very. So we have another why our vulnerability more, because we have a 7,500 coastline, 500 kilometer length of coastline, and from the sea route also the smuggling becomes very easy. So it is very difficult to quantify exactly what is the amount of smuggling taking place in the country. There's a roughly it vary from year to year. So there also we have laws in the country, in domestic law as well as the international law, that takes care of the smuggling of goods, smuggling of contraband articles. Then substance abuse and drug trafficking. This is another very serious offense throughout the world. Even US is facing this problem. From Cuba is the bordering nation, and Cubans, they smuggle into the USA these drugs. So drug abuse and trafficking are actually transnational in character throughout the world. It is one of the most dangerous organized crime in the world. India is also facing very severely. India is geographically located between two golden crescent and golden triangle. In drug trafficking, you must have heard the word golden crescent and golden triangle. So in these two areas, you have this the trafficking is very high. So if you don't know what is golden crescent and golden triangle in drug trafficking, please Google it and find it out. I'm not explaining all those things because we don't have much time. It is not classroom. So please find out if golden crescent and golden triangle of drug trafficking. Okay. So the illicit opium as well as manufactured in considerable amounts in India and then distributed to the illicit market. Illegal drug traffickers, they stand outside as well as it comes to India. So in that way, so the major substance like opium, heroin, and cannabis, so many these kind of items are being smuggled out of India and also smuggled into India. So in that way, that is one of the important transnational crime which requires a lot of international effort to curb. Though countries are taking, they are under various convention and under international treaties, they are trying to come closer and their cooperation is increasing. Am I audible? Debashish?
Yes, sir. You are audible.
Okay. So I didn't find any voice, so I thought I'm not audible. So this is one area. So then another important is terrorism and narco terrorism. This is also another important international crime. The India is facing a serious problem of terrorism, as you know, from the Pakistan side, from mostly from the Pakistan side. This terrorism has become a serious issue, and India has been struggling to fight the terrorism for the last many years. In fact, I would say from the 60s, 70s, it has become very prominent. In the 80s, 90s, it has become very, they say vulnerable. So in 80s and 90s, I see there was a Khalistan movement in the Indian side, but that was also being internationally they were being funded. The crime, the terrorism has been funded by from the international sources, especially your countries from with the bordering countries. They are the sponsors. They want to destabilize one country. They want to destabilize the political setup of the country. They want to destabilize the economy of the country. In that way, so terrorism is one of the most vulnerable crime any country is facing. So it is maybe political or ideological, whatever may be the source, but it is a serious crime. So narco terrorism is another very serious issue. Nowadays, you have seen the drug trafficking and this is an organized crime, and that is being done through these terrorist organizations. They just dump the narcotic items from one country to another country. They get that generates a lot of black money. So, and that black money is used again for the destruction of the country by means of the terrorist activities. Then next important issue is money laundering and hawala. This is the financial crime. Money laundering is a conversion of ill-gotten money into a seemingly legal currency. It is just a conversion from illegal to legal that can be incorporated into the legitimate economy. So it is in this way they try to legitimize the sources. The sources are mostly ill-gotten, black money. The money comes from selling of the drug, the trafficking materials, or from different sources, and that money is being the efforts are being made to legalize, to legitimize those money, and so this is how the money laundering motive of the criminals becomes very important, and it is placed put in a layering, in a layered manner, and it's placed in a very systematic manner, so that it can become legitimate and it will seem to be legitimate. So, in a sense, money laundering sets a serious menace in the entire world. Not India is not only facing this problem by our country; it is a problem throughout the world. So, specific countries have criminal justice system that has every country has its own system and its own sovereignty. That is also very important. So one country cannot go into barge into another country and just nab the criminals and come back. That you can't do, because international law, the domestic law of that country, that doesn't allow that. So similarly, so another kind of crime is the contract killing. So now this is very popular in India. You know, if you don't want to, if you want to eliminate a person, just give money to some person. The person will come from some source, some parts of the country, or maybe outsider, will come, kill and go. So it is what the method employed in the contract killing is through engaging a specialized gang for monetary consideration. Of course, again here the black money comes to play a very important role. Then prostitution. The trading of sex is a profitable business, mostly performed by the underworld. In India, flesh trade has been flourishing in various areas of the country and in different forms. The underworld is intimately connected with the call girls, rackets, and brothels that makes plenty of money via prostitution. This is also another ill-gotten money for the country. The criminal class supplies young girls to brothels in various parts of the country, or sometimes to outside countries, and they get a lot of money. So that is also very serious issue. We have more than 1 crore prostitutes in the country. More than this is a small. No, not in the country. In the city like Calcutta, Pune, Bombay, Delhi, together have more than 1 crore prostitutes. This is rough estimates, and it is very. In Calcutta is said to be one of the highest. You have head counts for prostitution. Then illegal immigration. Large number of Indians are employed abroad, especially in the Gulf region, as many as young individuals want to move elsewhere for higher paying jobs, higher wages. They go to foreign countries, and for that you need because of the higher unemployment rate in the country, we try to go to other country. Most of the people, the nurse a dream to go to foreign countries, earn more money, but in that process, because of the immigration problem, they get trapped in some unprincipled employment agencies, travel agents, and they get trapped and they face a lot of problems. So this is what is one of the serious issue, right? So these are some of the very serious crimes, international crime, I would say. So what factors that lead to that kind of crime in India? Organized crime has been existing in the country since long, but this has become very, very lethal or very serious, very dangerous during the last, I say, 2-3 decades. Because of so many factors, political, socio-economic factors, as well as advancement of science and technology. These are some of the issues that have really made the international crime very sophisticated. So globalization is one of the most important process which led to the increase in the criminal activities. You have a lot of opportunities. You have a lot of economic opportunity. When you have a lot of economic opportunities, similarly you have a lot of criminal opportunities. So because of the trade and economic liberalization in the country and elsewhere, after the onset of the liberalization, globalization, and privatization regime in the country, and also the same regime in different countries of the world, especially in the free trade regime, you have more and more economic activities, and when you have more and more economic activities, also you have more and more criminal activities. So this is going at tandem, I would say, though there is no such philosophical justification or any statistical data to just prove that, but that is going on. So the improvement in the telecommunication technology also one of the most important factors that contributes to the growth of international criminal activities. Because of your communication technology, because of very smooth communication technology, you have a criminal from X country can contact with Y country, and he can just cause a lot of destruction there. Or maybe there may be other kind of activities he can have there. Maybe money can be sent to them, and that black money can be channelized to another country. So in this way, the technology has given a lot of boost to the criminal activities. And more important, when we're talking about India, we have a our geostrategic location. Your a lot of neighboring countries. So this way, we, there's several benefits. We have a lot of benefits as well as this criminal activities as also they can get a lot of boost. Then another most important aspect which we cannot lose sight that roughly 30% of the Indian population is below poverty line. This is, I mean, maybe I may be over exaggerating, maybe more, but at least I would say 30% according to government estimate. So they are below poverty line. So because of the poverty and the huge population pressure, the tendency to commit crime has also increased a lot. There are unemployment. Very often the unemployment scenario has given rise to easy money. In Orissa, you have seen people in that, especially in the Koraput region, you have many people, thousands of people, maybe lakhs. They are engaged in this ganja trade. A lot of ganja is being cultivated in the jungles, and police is also part of. I must say, police is definitely hand in glove with such criminals. And every day you have quintals of the ganja is being transported to nearby states like Chhattisgarh, and it goes up to Delhi and Punjab. In this way, this poverty has also given rise to a lot of criminal activities. So because people want job, they don't get job. People want money, but this is one of the easy way of earning money. So you have this kind of activities like suppose you can sell ganja, you can transport one packet of ganja and you get a good amount of money. So why should the tendency to work hard becomes less? So you are likely to work more in that direction, and that way in future it becomes a criminal. Then lack of education is another factor. Lack of education is also there. You have the enrollment and the dropout rate in the primary education, it's a very, very, very serious issue. So because of that also, because of lack of skill, you don't get good job, or you also not employable. You yourself is also independently you can't do anything. So in that way, there are too much dependence on education for job is a must. But for self-help or for your employment, much education may not be required, but some skill is required. First, acquiring that skill also you need some education. You can't say that because I'm a self-employed, I don't need education. Education is a must. So if you have a better education, if you are skilled in a particular trade, in particular activities, particular business, then you can take up that issue and you can finally become a self-dependent man. So these are the issues that is very serious. And what are the challenges? These are the causes I see. What are the challenges? The challenges are, first is inadequate legal structure. We often see that most of our crimes that captured through our IPC, Indian Penal Code. Though we have certain specialized acts, specialized legislations to cater to the need of such kind of crime, we have enacted, still sometimes it is felt that these are still inadequate, because we need to combat the organized crime. Very often these legislative pieces, what we have at present, are they seem to be inadequate to combat such kind of a crime. The existing laws are inadequate because they target enterprise or groups, because they mostly, the organized, they have not been able to capture the organized crimes. In result, there has been a development of conspiracy that the government is handling. Further, the problem persists because of organized crime groups comprise even many officials are hand in glove in these organized crimes. So the criminal justice system gets suffocated. Very often the criminal gets scot free because of the loophole in the system. Similarly, we have in India, we have procedural laws. Which are also significantly insufficient to deal with such kind of organized crime. The Criminal Procedure Code 167, the law enforcement agencies expected to file a charge in 3 days after a person is arrested. Failure to do this means the accused to be bailed out. See the difficulties of the system. If we don't charge him within 3 days after the person is arrested, he has to be bailed out. This is one lacuna. There are several lacunae. I am just giving an example. The problem is also aggravated by the fact that the organized crimes are one of the most complicated issue in the nature and so far its international ramification is concerned. So this leads to filing under considered. So this leads to a lot of legal complication, and very often we fail to address those issues. So the evidence, collecting the evidence and bringing them to the judicial system, these are some of the very serious issues. So in 166 of the Criminal Procedure Code, which deals with the reciprocal arrangement regarding processes, this is another very important issue. A court in India can send summons or warrants in duplicate to a court in foreign country. A particular criminal is there in foreign country for a service or execution, and the said foreign court will cause the service or execution. 166(1)(a) says of the criminal procedure. 166(a) of the criminal procedure says, letters of request to the competent authority for investigation in a foreign country. A criminal court in India may issue a letter of request to a court or a competent authority to examine orally any person supposed to be acquainted with the facts and circumstances of the case, to record his statement, to make make himself available to the trial. Similarly, 166(b) says what? Letters of request from a country or place in outside India to a court or an authority for investigation in India. So these are some of the provisions of our procedural laws which takes care of this kind of a complicated issue, and that is confronted outside and the foreign countries which are confronting inside our country. Under this provision, the central government may forward the letter of request received from a foreign country to a magistrate who may summon. This is done through the Government of India. Ministry of Home and External Affairs are the required department, or the department which handle this kind of issue. So this is how, even for cyber crime, there is another aspect while we were discussing the cyber crime. So in cyber crime, suppose you have one person has committed some cyber crime in India. We want the details investigation from, because it has to be done through, maybe suppose you have mailed somebody some of offending mail or something, you hacked the mail. So Google, from Gmail, if you are doing it, Google is the concerned authority. You direct, suppose you want some information from Google, they won't provide you any information unless the court asks. If the suppose investigating authority in Orissa, they want some information from the, Google, simply by writing a letter to the Google authority, they won't respond. The concerned court has to issue letter that particular request has to go from that code via the External Affairs Ministry, and this is how then the particular company will respond. So that kind of recently one case, this Kamala Kant Tripathi versus State of Odisha, I have dealt with such an issue. So please go through that judgment once. So how the exponential rise in cyber crime, which has led to such kind of a transnational, led a complicated issue insofar the transnational dimension is concerned. How to deal with such kind of a transnational, the cases of such nature. There is a mutual legal assistance treaty between India government and US government, and we have to take the shelter to that treaty, and through that we can get some help, and we can try to just curb the criminal menace that comes out of the calamitous technology which is in the hands of such kind of people. So you read that Kamala Kant Tripathi was a State of Odisha. This is very recent judgment where I have dealt with how the criminal cyber crimes has to be dealt with by the investigating agency, how the information has to be brought from the other countries, how such kind of conviction, how we can take the help of technology as well as this kind of treaty to convict such kind of criminal who are mostly very difficult to nab, and they are invisible criminals. So that's why we have this kind of foreign legal treaties. And most importantly, in while dealing with, I will confine to mostly to this. There are many crimes are there, but this is one of the serious crimes which I have dealt recently. There another thing I have expressed in that particular judgment, that lack of training and resources, because of, though we know very well that the criminal justice system is this kind of a crime is facing a severe task, severe challenge. So because we don't have trained staff to just handle this kind of matter, our prosecution agency is not very well trained. We don't have also resources to spend on the improvement of technology. So in that way, we are facing a lot of problem. The Translational Crime Group, what we call TCG, which are great concern for the country. So that can be divided into two categories. One would say cross-border TCG, and another is multinational TCG. Transnational crime groups, that is called TCG. Cross-border TCG, that is mostly the activities are mostly confined to India and its immediate neighbors, mainly Pakistan, Bangladesh, Myanmar, Nepal, Sri Lanka. These groups are essentially of professional smugglers indulging in smuggling of consumer articles, precious metals, chemicals used for heroin extraction, narcotics, counterfeit currency. All these things are the crimes are taking place with the help of these gangs. They operate either independently or part of a multinational TCG. What is that multinational TCG? The transnational crime group, the multinational transnational crime groups, which activities are spread over much wider geographical area, covering not only India, but also its neighbor. It also covers the region, particularly, especially when we talk about the South Asian region, Southwest Asian region, while smuggling of the articles mentioned in those countries is very, very common, and that fetches considerable revenue to the criminals. And they have, in fact, they have acquired a strong foothold in the economy, though they are illegitimately done. Such illegitimate sector includes film, music industry, especially in film industry in Mumbai and music industry. So they are heavily dependent on such kind of criminal activities. The travel industry in Nepal also into it. They have been they are also in the into the airlines business. Many crime takes place through airlines also. We don't know in the what way they operate. Since early 1980s, a strong nexus is developed between these two categories, the TCG and the multinational TCG, the cross-national multinational group. They have a strong bonding nowadays, and they operate in a clandestine manners, posing a serious threat to our security forces. So this is, and also they take the advantage of our communication technologies and often engage in terrorist activities in the country. That cyber terrorism, as I was talking in that Kamala Kant case, that was one of the methodology of cyber terrorism. The computer-related crime has increased. Hacking, copyright piracy, software piracy, child pornography, password sniffers, credit card fraud, cyber squatting are some of the very famous and commonly known cyber crimes in the country, and these are part of the cyber terrorism. Though we have Information Technology Act 2000, which came into force in October 2000, but we have a lot of inadequacies in that act. This act often fail to capture the nuances of these crimes. We need to have a specialized act for different crimes. Otherwise, many things that often get out of the scope of the act. The acts in this way, the CBI is one agency which is trying to curb this kind of menace, but because of manpower shortage and other administrative lacunae, the CBI is also unable to track the crime properly, unable to curb it. So instances of transnational terrorism in India, you must have heard about the Dawood Ibrahim gang, how they operated in Mumbai, and how these many people, so many people have been killed. And then you have Chota Rajan gang, you have Baulu Srivastava gang, Abu Salam. These are some of the famous international the criminals of the country, but they operate internationally. And money laundering is one of the famous Indian international crime today. The rapid expansion of international financial activity has gone hand in hand with the development of transnational crime, as I have told you, which take advantage of the political borders and exploits the differences between legal system of different countries. Whatever lacuna they find in the legal system, they take advantage of it and maximize the benefit. So the laundering operations are some of the very common crime in the financial sector. You must have heard the Hawala. The Hawala system is one of the in the Desi term we call Hawala trading. So illegitimate money is being sent to different countries, different people. In that way, Hawala transaction takes place. This is, we can say, an underground banking, or you can say illicit banking system. So counterfeit currency is also one of the most famous this kind of text. Then the instances of transnational money laundering in India. The famous case of Punjab National Bank fraud case. This is one of the most, one of the, it's a humongous amount of money has been laundered. I think more than 11,000 crore. That's 1.4 billion US dollar. Punjab National Bank, making Punjab National Bank liable for the amount. The fraud was allegedly organized by jeweler and designer Nirav Modi, and you know that we haven't heard about all these things. Then Kingfisher Airline case, Vijay Mallya, that you know. Then Charlie Peng, Enforcement Directorate has filed a money laundering case against Chinese national Liu Shang, who was living in India under the pseudonym Charlie Peng, and involved in alleged cross-border money laundering worth at least 1,000 crore. These are some of the famous cases. I mean, they're still going on. No final verdict has come in these cases. So let's wait what the verdict coming from. So that are at different stages of trial. All those cases I'm talking about. So national strategies are required to adequately to respond such challenges. We need to adequately prepare our system. Our prosecution agency has to be strengthened. Our policing system has to improve, and moreover, we need to try to plug the loopholes of the law and create some specialized acts wherever we are lacking, and we can counter such kind of international terrorism, international crimes of different sorts. So at present, the whatever measure we have been adopting for the last many years, this is not sufficiently equipped to counter the organized crime, right? So we have our India Extradition Act of 1962, which deals with the extradition of fugitive criminals. Again, we need to have a treaty with another country, extradition treaty. Then you can easily expatriate, you can extradite that man to India. If you don't have any treaty with that particular country where the person is staying, so then it's very difficult to get him in. So this is kind of under this international crime. This is one of the serious issue. The extraditing the criminal from another country become very difficult. Often we face problem. We have extradition treaty with Nepal, Belgium, Canada, Netherlands, Tanzania, Australia, UK, USA, and so many countries. But there are many countries where you don't have treaty. India has entered mutual legal assistance agreement with criminal matters with the UK. We have 1992 agreement with that. So, but in many areas still UK doesn't help India. Then we have also mutual legal assistance treaty with some other countries. So you have signatories to the SAARC. We have the SAARC countries have their own arrangement. But again, insofar as Pakistan is concerned, even if it is SAARC countries, it is non-committal to such kind of an assistance. So in this way, we are facing a lot of international treaty, though we have, still it is not properly followed in letter and spirit by both the countries, by the crime, the perpetration of the crime that perpetrates the crime, and the country that faces the crime. So they don't have a good amount of understanding. This way, we are facing problem in that front also. So this is how, in short, I have discussed the international crime and how that operates, in what way it is there, and some instances of international crime. And there are so many, but these I have tried to just make it cut short. This is just a snapshot of whatever, because it's a huge area. It can't be spoken, can't be addressed in just half an hour, 40 minutes, or 1 hour. It's very difficult. So This is what I wanted to address you. This is in a small, in a snapshot manner. If you have any question, then you can ask me. Yes. Debashish.
Yes, sir.
Thank you all. So I have just tried to finish it in a snapshot manner. Hope you have liked it, because this is a very next time whenever you are just framing a subject, framing a topic for discussion, please make it specify. Please try to specify a topic so that it can be properly analyzed. Because simply saying international crime means a huge topic. It's a huge. I mean, you can't. It's very difficult to condense it into few hours. Even it takes at least, if international crime, if you want to teach, it will take 6 months to complete. Still, it will be incomplete. So that's why I have tried to speak in a very snapshot manner. Okay.
Yes, sir. Even though it was quite informative session, and then from the next time we will take care of the topic.
Yeah.
While
So it has to be very specified, and just to the point topic, so that can be, you can address it properly.
yes, sir. We will take care of that. Now I would like to call upon Jyoti Prakash Dutta, the co-organizer of this webinar and co-founder of Lex Cognoscenti. There are few questions sent to us through the Google form. So he will be moderating that particular question answer session with you, sir.
Yes, please.
Okay, so over to you, Jyoti Prakash.
Thank you, Debashish. So thank you very much for your enlightening address. First of all, happy Teachers' Day to you, sir. It is our honor to have you on this particular day. It is our greatest honor. So you have already discussed why we have chosen
Corona.
this.
Thank Corona. Corona is a great teacher for us today.
Yes, sir, definitely.
You learned a lot from Corona.
Yes, sir. So you have already enlightened why we have why we have chosen this particular topic, and you also said about the case Kamalakanta Tripathi versus State of Odisha. I must say to the audience that me and Debashish were going through that particular case, and we found that case particularly very fascinating. So we decided to have our honorable sir for this particular webinar session, and we are going through that particular case, and there was an order under section 91 of CRPC in that particular case, and the petitioner was asking for a quashment of that particular order under section 482 of the CRPC. So sir, while disposing of that particular application, also denied that it cannot be quashed because order under section 91 cannot be quashed under section 482 of CRPC, and also sir discussed about this MLAT and latest rogatory that has been provided under 166A CRPC. So that is all why we invited sir for this particular topic. But we regret that we are unable to introduce our sir properly when he started his address.
You need not address me properly. Just simply, I'm a sitting judge in Orissa High Court. That's all. Nothing else.
Yes, sir. But we will definitely take this opportunity to say something about you.
But I'm always my leaning is always for teaching and academics. Yes. Whenever you have such opportunity there for me, I'm always, if I'm available, I'm always there. So this is one of the, had there been a physical thing, I would have been loved. But anyway, we are constrained to have physical conference or physical seminar like kind of a situation. So at least through this mode we can have, though it can't be as good as physical, but still we can manage. So in future we will see how frequently we can interact with each other. So yes, on some topics I can always come and address, not a problem.
Yes, that will be our honor to have you physically in our institution, and
Yes,
we hope
definitely.
you will definitely come because we are.
As soon as situation get normal, I'll be the first person to address. Don't worry.
Thank you, sir. That is great for us. And before we start with the question answer session, I would definitely like to point out certain judgments delivered by Justice Panigrahi over the last few months, because as we know, our Justice Sanjeeb Panigrahi joined the Honorable High Court of Odisha only on 10th February 2020. So it is just over a little 6 months period, and he has already delivered more than 25 judgments and 2,900 orders. So there are several other judgments which also made national headlines in the legal fraternity. One of them was G. Achyut Kumar versus State of Odisha, which made a great number of, which forced a great number of intellectuals of legal arena to comment upon that particular case. When Justice Panigrahi held that mere sexual intercourse and the promise of marriage is not
I,
automatically. Yes.
I would just give one experiment. Promise to marry induced sex is not rape. The single line.
Yes, sir.
Promise to marry induced sex is not rape. That is what I have filed.
Yes,
Okay.
sir. Sir, you have also cited the case of Anurag Soni versus State of Chhattisgarh, and you also stated that whenever there is an intention to marry from the very beginning, and later on the accused for certain reasons was not able to marry that particular prosecutrix, it cannot be said that he was having some malafide intention, or
Yeah.
he was having some mens rea to commit rape. And several other judgments also passed by Justice Panigrahi, and recently sir also passed a judgment in the case of Vikas Duria versus State of Odisha. That is particularly important for all of us to know, that he has heavily came down upon the offender under offenders, those who were charged under the NDPS Act 1985. And also in the case of Panchanan Padi versus State of Odisha, sir quoted the great Justice V.R. Krishnaiyer, and has aptly pointed out that the human trafficking, though more severe than drug trafficking, that we are dealing drug trafficking.
Unfortunately, we have made it less stringent than the drug
Yes,
traffic.
yes, sir.
Though it
That
is
is what. Yes, sir. Uh, that was what pointed out by Justice Panigrahi. And again, that I will definitely point out that sir delivered a judgment in this July, that is Amit Periwal versus State of Odisha. In that particular judgment, sir reiterated that prosecution may be launched even for assessment of tax while dealing with the charges under Section 132 of Odisha GST Act. So this is a particular provision that we also need to know, that economic offences are growing up in our society day by day. So sir, there is certain questions from the audience, that how can we strengthen our GST system, because after the introduction of GST there is a huge amount of increase in the
So
crimes related to
this kind
economic
of
offences.
organized gang is working to take advantage of the
Yes.
loopholes in the GST system. So let me tell you one thing. GST is a very nation. It's a nation stage. So it is the in every, so whenever when a child is child experiences whether the growth of its teeth, so teething trouble is likely to be there. So the same way the GST is also facing its teething trouble now. Gradually all those lacunas will be overcome, and we will be, I mean, depending upon the situation, what kind of crimes are being committed, how people are taking advantage of the loopholes in the act, so accordingly we have to amend our act, we have to reform things. So gradually things will be over, because it is a child now. GST Act is just a child, so it has to let it grow to its adolescent and adult phase. We'll see. Hopefully we can curve better. Yeah.
Yes, yes, sir. You also discussed in that particular judgment about input tax credit. Can you, sir, please throw some light upon that particular concept?
Input tax credit. See what happens whenever you are just so you have all most of your viewers, they have real taxation. Unless you know the taxation, then input tax credit you can't understand. You have
Yes,
studied indirect taxation.
yes, sir.
So
Sir, most of the
here
students are not
have
aware about that.
on that issue we can have a separate this thing. Otherwise, this is input tax credit you can't understand it properly. I'll explain it. We can have you can organize something on GST in future. Just organize. I mean, in 1 month or 2 month time, you organize something, some good topic on GST. I'm ready to address that issue. So at that time we'll discuss everything, because it's in short time it can't be. It's very not a small questions that link to so many issues. Okay, so that's why I'm trying to avoid it.
Sure, sir. So, sir, there is also another question from the audience that nowadays the offences under Prevention of Money Laundering Act are growing day by day, and there are also instances of several economic offenders, and those economic offenders are mostly from the upper class of the society, and they are not poor people. People like Vijay Mallya and Nirav Modi are defrauding our own country. So, do you think that provisions under PMLA are sufficient, or any other thing should be added to that particular act so as to strengthen that particular system?
Yeah, depending upon the kind of you have the kind of loopholes which they have taken advantage. So accordingly, we are our legislators are very aware of that, and they are taking I mean, rising to the occasion whenever it is required, and whenever it is required, they are trying to come with some your amendment in the act. And at present, see, only amending or just strengthening the act is not enough. Our policing system and implementing agencies should also be equally strong, equally very efficacious. Then only things can be coped. Only just passing an act or just reforming a particular act is not going to help you. So, right? So this is why I would say this act is there. That act is quite effective, but as in every case, you have some escape route. Maybe they are taking advantage of the escape route there.
Sir, how can that be minimized?
That can be minimized by way of your proper implementation of the act. Our administrative agency and also at the same time our the political and criminal nexus has to also be reduced. Their nexus is also a very serious issue. If a person, if a small person, if people like you and me go to the bank for a housing loan, bank will ask for so many documents, and it's very difficult to get a loan. But people like Nirav Modi goes and just he give a phone call, hundreds of crores of rupees being granted to, I mean, sanctioned by the banks. So this is what they are taking advantage of the system. So they are taking advantage of the political system, they are taking advantage of the administrative system, and that way they are operating. So that has to go. So where is the lacuna? Lacuna is in implementation of the act. Lacuna is in the administrative agencies and the prosecution agency all are very supportive to. So that need to be strengthened. So that loopholes need to be strengthened. Our mindset has to change. But however, whatever may be your personality, however big you may be, you are always under the law. Always under the law. That maxim should always be there.
Yes, sir. Rule of law should be followed, and there is also several instances that the persons from the upper strata have close nexus with the political power, and several other.
Always, it is always happening. This is a very common problem everywhere. In most of the developing countries, this one, even the countries like USA also facing that problem. But ours is more. मैं कौन हूँ जानता है? This kind of this syndrome, मैं कौन हूँ syndrome, is very serious. Everybody will start showing his money power, muscle power, political this power. All these things are there. So this is mindset. Ours is a nation democracy. We need to gradually we are maturing. Hopefully, over the years, once we get matured, our things will improve. That's what I'm hopeful.
Yes, sir. So thank you for your answers. And now I will request Pragati Priyadarshini Jena. She is our team member. She will ask certain other questions, and she has prepared some other questions with her. So Pragati, please turn on your video and turn on your audio, and please ask the questions to us, sir.
Good evening, sir. Other participants have some queries. I would be reading on this, and sir, we request you to kindly address to them.
Okay,
The
please.
first question is, what are the reasons for growing cross-border drug smuggling and wild animal parts? What are the reasons for it, sir? Kindly explain.
Animals.
Yes, sir.
Reasons is greed. One word I would say greed for money. Greed for money is the only word for that.
Okay.
So long as you have the greed for money and just desire to have easy money, though it is illegal, you don't bother about whether it is legitimate or illegitimate source. You don't bother about things. So naturally, you are bound to take this recourse to such kind of activities. So that is the only thing I think. I don't think any other motive. That is the main motive behind such kind of crime.
Definitely, sir. Thank you, sir. The next question being, what are the provisions under Indian and international law to deal with gold smuggling, and what modifications may be done to strengthen the penal system?
Gold smuggling, you have earlier the Coffee Posa Act was there. So many acts are there for that. But gold smuggling, today gold smuggling is very little. Earlier, the gold smuggling was really a big issue. In 80s, before the liberation, the gold smuggling was very, very common. Huh? So you have in 80s, people used to go to foreign countries and they will have their gold in their shoe, or maybe sometimes in different parts. Even I have uh, read cases where they caught their part of the body and inside they
Body.
put it and they operated and this are carrying this. That way we have, so gold smuggling is a very serious issue in 80s. But today it has reduced because see international. So whenever there is international, the demand in the international market is more, smuggling will be more. Or any goods which is cheaper in international market and very you have what it's cheaper in international market and the rate is higher in Indian market, there will be this chance of gold smuggling. But today that thing is blurred now because of the gold price internationally that doesn't differ much. I mean, you are in America, India, so throughout the globe, the difference is not very huge. Okay.
So, what modification can be done to strengthen the penal system regarding this issue?
Gold smuggling.
Yes, sir.
So smuggling, you have see, you have there is Custom Act is there to protect all these things. Okay, different provisions of Customs Act is there, which takes care of the smuggling aspect, and we need to strengthen more our your what is this? There is a Gold Control Act 1968 which is also there. So that act also takes care of the this gold smuggling of gold. Okay, Custom Act as well as Gold Control Act 1968. These two acts take care of the gold smuggling. So we need to just expand the our policing system with respect to gold smuggling. So definitely that will help in reducing the smuggling of gold. And that is what else you can see our. And secondly, whenever there is a such kind of smuggling, you put it a very strong penalty you have to put. But I am not in favor, and also put them in, if necessary, you can also put them in jail. But I am not in favor of putting people in jail. You put them, you just get heavy cost. You confiscate the goods and uh, put some heavy penalty. So that will be better instead of putting people in jail. You don't have space in jail, right? The section 111 to section 113 of the Customs Act takes care of the gold smuggling aspect, right?
Yes.
So yes. Why are you so much concerned with gold? So
No, sir. Actually, the participants have this much queries. They had asked to make it addressed by you. Okay, so the next question is, is NDPS case. In NDPS case, whether the other state police have the power to issue summon to the person whose name was mentioned in the FIR of that state for allegedly selling marijuana in our state.
Yeah, why not? They can.
And what
They
if
can.
he will not
In the,
appear? What are the
in
consequences?
state police, they can form a team and also come and arrest them. That is always there. Inside the country, there is no problem. But
Okay,
for
sir.
other countries, it becomes difficult.
If
For
that
other,
person not appear, sir, what are the consequences?
it will not appear to you have CPC, you have
Yes.
provisions in CPC. You have read it. So you
Okay.
take care of the CPC provisions, and accordingly, law will take its own course. What's the problem?
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
So the next question, are there any specific international instrument to regulate and curb the transnational organized crimes?
Yes, so many international your treaty have been there to this what the combat the transnational organized crime on different. See, transnational crime is not on different aspects, right?
Okay.
Uh, for example, you have for money laundering you have a different you have a treaty for prostitution you have a treaty, human trafficking you have a treaty. For different kind of crime you have different kind of treaties. So we have so many treaties, you can find it. Yes, what
Okay,
else?
sir. Okay, sir. Thank you. This is the end of the question queries.
We are in which year?
So I'm in fourth year, just promoted to fourth year.
Fourth year, which college? Banivia.
University, yes, sir.
Fourth year. What is your name?
Pragati Priyadarshini Jena, sir.
Okay, good.
Okay.
So study
I'll
well.
be, thank you, sir. Happy Teachers Day to you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Passing on the mic to Jyoti Prakash Dutta.
Yes.
Thank you, sir, for addressing the queries. So before we end this session, I would like to request you, sir, to give some insights and some advices to our audiences who are present over here. So there are many students are there, and also we are joined by several advocates. So what will be your advice to all of them?
Advise on what? On which issue?
Uh, in
Specify.
particular,
This is
there
very
is no
general.
particular.
I am nobody to
Yes.
advise you. This is advising is not my business. So you have to. If you ask me on a particular issue, I can say something.
Regarding their career.
Career issue. As a lawyer, see, if you are a lawyer, so one thing I would say, only a single line. A sincere lawyer never starves. Sincere lawyer who works hard never starve. So people have a tendency say that oh lawyer is very difficult in the initial years, you are a very difficult time, so we don't get money. So don't get carried by money in the initial years. You have to your initial years should be you should work very hard, and money will chase you after. If you work hard for 5 6 years 10 years, maybe sometimes for 10 years also, after that money will chase you. You don't have to chase money, money will chase you. This is this small thing I would say. Sincerity always pays. If you work sincerely, if you work very hard, read more, write more, so automatically things will happen. And the way nowadays, whenever the student, as soon as they join the profession, they think that okay, from tomorrow I'll be very big man. So that never happens. Without hard work, you can't be a big man. At least in this way, this is not a lottery. Legal profession is not a lottery. It is a service. So it is part of the service industry. So in service industry, you perform or perish. This rule applies. If you perform well, you will be there. If you don't perform, you will perish. This is the simple rule. What I think. So that is what I would say. Nothing specific advice, but this is the rule. I think this is the rule that governs everybody. Perform or perish. If you don't perform, you have to perish. So this is the rule for everything. For every profession, it is there. So we have to work very hard. You read more, at least my just suggestion to all, I'm not advising, I'm suggesting, at least read 200 pages a day. 200 pages. Whether you read book, you read story, you read newspaper, you read brief, whatever, at least 200 pages a day. That will make you, what do you say, a complete man, a complete professional. If you don't read 200 pages a day, you can never be a complete professional. Means you will be a very mediocre professional. Not only reading, read also, digest also. Reading and digesting, both. Thank you. That's all. No, this is the one suggestion I'll give you. Read more. As a lawyer, you must read one novel, fiction or non-fiction, whatever, a month. That's a must. You have that. Your English knowledge will improve. Your writing skill will improve. Your drafting skill will improve. This is what I would request you. Please read one newspaper daily, English newspaper, at least one, without fail. In addition to your law books, we will read it, no problem. But in addition to law books, one novel a month, or maybe non-fiction also, whatever, fiction or non-fiction, whatever. Good novel, good book, I would say. You must read good books once a month, a book a month, minimum. You will keep that habit, I'm sure you will be a good professional. In addition to law, I'd say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir, for giving your golden suggestions to all the attendees comprising of advocates and students comprising from first year to fifth year and all. I hope they will surely follow those advices given by you. Even we, both of us, will also follow that particularly.
They said, an apple a day takes the doctor away. The same way, a novel or a fiction or non-fiction a month will make you a wise man in the profession. In addition to your whatever law books you read, you must have a reading habit, I would say. Reading habit is the key. If you read more, so more and more reading will make you a very, very wise man. Without reading, a person can never be wise man. Reading is a must.
Absolutely, sir. So proceeding with proceeding towards the end of the session, we are really grateful that Honorable Justice Sanjeeb Kumar Panigrahi accepted our offer and accepted it to speak on the issue curbing the transnational crimes before all the attendees. So, sir, so I would like to say or give my heartfelt thanks to you, sir, on behalf of the whole team of Lex Cognoscenti.
Thank you so much. And I must request all the attendees to demand ET from the organizers. ET.
We will try to provide that virtually, sir.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Happy Teachers' Day.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.